What's up, Dragon Ball fam? It's your boy Eddie Saint Team Fox PPG Team Captain, coming at you live today with another video. So, this past weekend, right, we had an event at it was TCG Con, New Jersey, hosted by PPG. Shout out to them for hosting yet another great event. Shout out to the Hill Twins, which ended up going all the way, made it to the finals, and it was a Hill Twins finals match between Eric and Eon. Eric was on launch, and Eon was on Trunks. So Eric ended up beating Eon. So really cool time hanging out with the boys, seeing the boys again. Sorry that I've been gone for making these videos. It's probably my first time back, I think. Maybe second time doing a video since I moved to Maryland. It has been rough getting back into it because I have a lot going on in Maryland because we still haven't situated everything yet. But without further ado, I'm going to talk about the event that happened this past weekend since I was there. And I know a lot of people are looking to prep for the upcoming Otakon events hosted by PPG, as well as Gen Con, which is the following week, hosted by TAC, which I will be judging. I'll be at both events, so I'm going to be here to help you guys out. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get to this part where I could show my screen to you guys, and we can get into it. Alright, cool. So, top 16. We played out top 8, but top 16 got their invites. So, first place is, like I said, Eric, he played Launch. Eon played Trunks. Jason played Gamma. Sawyer played Reboot Mass Saiyan. Kenneth played SS4. Johnny played U7 Goku. Andrew played GT Spaceship Goku. I played Yellow Trunks. Nicholas played Gamma. 10th place Tim played Cooler. Oh snap, the GOAT Jordan Marco himself played Trunks. Cody played Bulma. Joey and Frankie both played Trunks. Jeff played U7 Goku, I believe that is. And then Eric Goodwin, shout out to him for coming back in the game. He played Set 1 Golden Frieza. So I broke it down for you guys, right? So the majority of decks in this was 6 Trunks, 2 U7 Goku, 2 Gamma, 1 Bulma, 1 Set 1 Golden Frieza, 1 Cooler, and 1 Reboot Mass Saiyan, as well as 1 GT, if I'm not mistaken. So I have these deck lists pulled up for you guys. Let's just go into them real quick. I'm going to show you guys an example of what I do and how I prepare myself for these next upcoming events, right? So we've seen this now, 2 events in a row, starting with this past weekend, Launch, shout out to Eric Hill, and then the past weekend before this, or 2 weekends before, it was Danny who won with, what was the red deck? Bulma. So we see red with a resurgence of decks, right? We also seen before those 2 events, Robbie Reese won back-to-back regionals with U7 Goku. So red has won the last 1, 2, 3, 4 events, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a look at this red-blue launch deck. I can speak from this experience because this is my first round opponent, and then I seen the deck, and I'll tell you right now, this deck is very powerful. There was a time and point where he played, and I believe on his turn 4, he played, or maybe his turn 3. I'm not sure if it was his turn 3 or turn 4. But I know he played double Divine Presence, and it was kind of insane because he already had established board because he had multiple coolers on board. It was really nasty, and he also has the power to finish you with Mirror Assault from the Sky, which is a cool overall. So I can tell you from experience, this deck, I don't want to give away his strat, but the deck is really powerful. You have to understand what Launch does, because Launch has a lot of ways to draw cards, but those draw interactions are through battle. So if you just sit there and set up your board, you'll be fine. But if your deck can't really afford to set up and set your board, you won't be fine. Because the longer you give this deck, the better it is for him, because he'll have more energy to be able to play with and kill you on the crackback, even if you're not attacking. Because realistically speaking, don't forget, he attacks you one time, and he's able to play double Divine Presence with a combination of Bean and just 2 battle cards. Well, technically speaking, since he's playing Launch, it's just really 1 extra battle card because he has to combo 1 to gain its ability and then combo on the backside. So the deck is really good, really solid choice. Happy that he won. Super cool deck that we haven't seen in a while, especially it's a red deck taking another event, keeping it 4 events in a row. Main deck's pretty solid, man. I can't complain. Like I played against is really cool. The cool techs were dispo that I saw he kept using on me. But everything else is pretty standard. The deck is pretty straightforward. Just looking at it, you can tell what it does. Sideboard, I'm not gonna get into their sideboards because like literally their sideboards is their sideboards. That's for them to explain. When I look at a deck, I mainly look at the main boards, and that's how I feel like everyone should look at decks too. So let's move on to second place, which is his brother Eon Hill. Eon, I also played Eon, and it was a Trunks mirror match. Really cool deck. One problem I noticed with the deck was that with blue yellow, it's rough because you're searching so hard for your blue yellow piece that at times that I noticed that he couldn't find his one drops, which is or his targets, which was rough. But when he did have his targets and the blue yellow online, the deck felt unbeatable. I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that in yellow, if you get floodgated or if you get an attack answered, you're really down in energy because you don't get the energy back. But the fact that he plays his blue yellow package, it's super powerful. And we talked about it after the match as well. Because there was a time and point where, okay, if he stops me, like let's say with I don't know, like a repose or like just a regular negate, right? Just like a Frieza's reinforcements army or Frieza's army reinforcements, he could count. Okay, cool. He has one attack left. He has two attacks left. He has three attacks left. If I were to do the same play and hit him with a Frieza's army reinforcements, I still don't know how many attacks he has left because for me to know that, I would have to see how many beans he has in his drop, and if he has only one, if he has only two or none at all, I do not know how many attacks he has left because he could Basil, go into Bean, SS3, go into Bean. You see what I'm saying? So on and so forth. So the pros on this, you really can just destroy someone coming from nowhere, which is really solid on his part. But the cons to it is the consistency. But he's able to make it work. He's a great player because there's times he did not. I was watching him throughout the entire day. There's times, multiple times, he did not open up his one drops, but still managed to win the game because he is the excellent player he is. So huge shout out to him. Let's check out the third place list, which is Jason. So Jason finished undefeated in Swiss. This is gonna actually be my top 8 opponent. I just couldn't come to day 2. Like I told you guys before, I moved to Maryland, so I drove 2 hours to Jersey and then drove 2 hours back. I wasn't gonna make that 2-hour trip again the next day, so I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna stay home, prep for Otakon, and let the boys enjoy the game, man. So huge shout out to Jason. Like I said, he did go undefeated day 1. Solid text with the SS3 Ghost Son Goku man on a mission, as well as his 10 drop cell. So let's take a look at his 10 drop cell real quick. Alright. EXL for 3 with energy cost of 8 or 9. So he could go over the 8 drop. When this card attacks, choose one card in your opponent's hand and discards it. Oof, solid. Okay. And this card is used in a combo from your drop area. This card is in a combo from your drop area. If it would leave your combo area, it would bring him instead. Okay, not bad. So I'm guessing what he did was pretty much evolved over it for 3 to get some more attacks in, which should make sense because he did only play 3 of the 9 drops, which is pretty solid. Let's take a look for any cool things we see added. He does have a Piccolo. It just, maybe, I don't know. Let's check out his deck, bro. That's an interesting choice. I am seeing more and more Android 18's never-ending energy becoming a thing. I guess it's to keep up your hand size. Well, other than that, just looking at the list from left to right, it's a pretty solid list. The only thing I keep telling players is, once again, hit is cool. Once again, hit is very vulnerable, like very vulnerable. But if your opponent does not one shot to hit, yes, it'll live. The thing about 17-18, you're not able to just one shot a 17-18. So that's why I personally would always recommend 17-18. But shout out to JC, like I said, he obviously knows something because he was undefeated yesterday. He dropped Swiss. This is another cool deck. I've seen 2 of his games as well. Shout out to Sawyer Deal. He came back. He was one of the OGs in this game. Started playing since the game came out, but then took a break. But I saw him again this weekend. Really solid list. There's a list similar to this in Florida that the Vegeta Saiyan Army guys have. Very similar to this, except it leans more into a blue build that has the sensory beans. Shout out to my boy Julian Rodriguez, who first showed me this, and Mikey Mike, who also played this as well. Deck is really solid. I do believe that if you had explored with the blue route that I was mentioning from the BSA Army guys, this deck would be even more explosive. Because within that deck, they're probably going to kill me for saying this, but these one drop, I mean, he did run this as well, but he had other one drops. There's 2 1-drop blue critical fighters that he added along with 4 Senzu Beans to give him 4 blue targets, which is really, really powerful. The thing with that deck is if you hit a blue energy, every Senzu Bean you saw just equals guaranteed damage. So, because the only issue I saw with the Slayer Deal one, it's when he was going in, if you were to floodgate his answer and he did not have Super Kamehameha online or in hand, the floodgates kind of just sat there. Yes, you can have 1 True Fighting Spirit Son Goku, but it doesn't matter. Because I would rather pay the tax of 1 versus paying the tax of infinite cards because you're about to blow me out. So I would. This is a solid deck. But I would hit up the VSA Army guys. Because the VSA Army guys has something very similar to this. I'm not sure if Julian and Mike are still playing it. Shout out to them once again. But that blue list that they played before I moved to Maryland, because it was at my locals, was very, very solid. And also shout out to Sawyer Deal, because I saw him play this and he did pilot the deck very, very, very well. We have the lone SS4 in Top Cut. Shout out to Kenny. It was a standard a deck. I seen him play. I was sitting next to Eon when he was playing Eon. Eon was playing his Trunks deck. I see when they play, it was a solid deck. SS4 Vegeta is still doing his thing. There's nothing new to talk about. Like, the deck is still, it is what it is, right? Let's go on to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Sixth place, Johnny Teo, El Topo Loco boys. I think Jason El Topo Loco too as well. U7, so happy U7 is finally getting back into the limelight, right? U7 has been taking a fall. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. But I'm not going to say it here. But yeah, U7 is a really, really solid deck. I'm looking at his list. It's typically what you tend to see. The one thing I will tell U7 players, and I highly recommend it, is to max out on Quetzal, guys. Because the reason why I say max out on Quetzal is, in my opinion, the 2 best decks right now are number 1, Gamma, and slightly behind Gamma is Trunks. Quetzal is never dead. Whether you draw it, you get to pitch off your leader. Whether you mill it, it's a valid target for you to mill in order to stop your opponent's floodgates. Android 14 now becomes 4 cost card requirement from your opponent's hand, as well as 2 energy requirement. Versus Yellow, Riposte now becomes a 1 energy requirement with a 3 card cost in your hand. Frieza's Army Reinforcement or any token negates now becomes a 3 card requirement. Like, I don't know. Call me crazy, but I just think Quetzal should be maxed out in a U7 next. There's other things I do have to add on U7, but I'm going to say that for a video speaking about it later, because I believe U7 is being criminally underplayed. It's a really solid deck, and it just fell off the map because I think the issue with U7 is people are defaulting to the skeleton builds where they're not experimenting and then going back to enjoying what U7 was really all about, which was taking your opponent down to 4 in a blink of an eye, and in every other attack, your opponent's just worried about them just losing the game because U7 is that oppressive. So the example I'll give you, I do not believe every game you should slam a units on our turn 3. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that U7 players are making. But not Johnny Teo, because Johnny Teo got up to top 8, man. So a big, huge shout out to him. GT Goku. I did face a GT Goku during the tournament. I am not sure if it was this player or not. I do not remember his name. But GT Goku is still a solid deck. I personally don't believe in the deck. Not saying I don't believe in this player. This player did well with it because he was able to top with it. The deck, I just don't like it. If you're going to play a red deck, in my opinion, go ahead and play either U7 or King Piccolo. Like, if you're going to play GT, just play King Piccolo. Like, it's just... GT has a lot of problems. I could make an entire video of why not to play GT, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to take up this video slot plus more. But GT, it's a solid deck. I'm not saying it's a bad deck. It's a solid deck. But if you like what GT does, there are 2 other decks that do what GT is trying to do, but better. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you guys. But if you like GT, like I said, go ahead and play it. It's just a fair deck. The best way I can describe GT is when Vegeta and Dark Broly Unrata was still in the format. Unrata Unbound was still in the format, and then Gogeta Zeno came in. Gogeta Zeno has always been a good deck, but it was a fair deck because compared to Vegeta and Dark Broly, those energy requirements were 0. Where when you came up to Gogeta Zeno, even though as good and powerful as effects were, you paid energy in order to use the effects, and that's the issue I have with the Spaceship Goku. And to combine that also with the fact that, hey, he can one-shot their unisons, realistically speaking. So that was the top 8 matches. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna have my deck list up and running, and I'll post it because I really want to go into detail with it because it's not like the conventional. I'm gonna give the limelight on this video for Trunks decks to my boy Eon because he did get second place with it, and he did beat me. He was one of my losses. So Eon did get second place. The blue yellow deck is really, really solid. I'm gonna let this one be the default and representing Vegeta deck for this video. And like I said, I will have a separate video for my Trunks list up itself. So with that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the little breakdown. The things I will say to be prepared for on Gen Con is going to be straight. 2 best decks in my opinion are Gamma as well as it's Trunks. Let me get this back to my face because that's it for there. Yeah, so in my opinion, you have to prepare for Gamma and both Trunks. If your deck cannot handle those decks, or if your deck has a great matchup, the example I give is when people ask me, do I love Jiren? I'm like, yes, I do love Jiren. Jiren, in my opinion, farms the living love out of Trunks. Trunks just cannot win that matchup. I do not like to use the word can't, but that matchup is unwinnable. It doesn't matter how great you are, you're not being a Jiren player. When you flip the other side of the coin, Jiren will not stand up to Gamma. The same way Jiren slaps the living love out of Trunks, Gamma slaps the living love out of Jiren. So I wouldn't play a deck like that. You have to play a deck that can combat both decks. Whether it's Gamma combating Trunks and Gamma combating a mirror match, or Trunks combating Trunks and Trunks combating Gamma, or U7 combating both of those, you have to be able to have a deck that does both of those. Right under those 2 decks, I would list U7. And other than that, you have your obvious picks. Like, you have the rogue picks. Like, it's not really rogue, but it's not really, I wouldn't say, the best decks. And you have Cell. Sin fell off the face of the earth. You have black decks. Black decks have been criminally underplayed. Understand that black decks are good. The only difference is they eliminate a lot of free play from the black decks. You still have the one Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan leader, the one with Vegeta like holding his eye with the Mass Saiyan. That's also a solid rogue pick to actually compete in the meta. It's not just a rogue pick, just to be a rogue pick for the hell of it, but to actually compete in the meta. You have Mecha Cabrera. Green, you have Cooler. I believe Cooler made the top 16 in this list, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Cooler did make the green. You also have King Cole, Cooler from green. From red, other red decks you have annoying decks such as Bulma. Understand how to play against Bulma, because if you do not have Bulma is not really an unbeatable deck. It's an impressive deck for players who do not come prepared. If you come prepared for Bulma, it's going to make your life so much easier, and Bulma's life living, you know what? Because do not forget, both the upcoming Otakon event and Gen Con event are best of 1 pre-sideboard. This is for the in-real-life events. I'm not sure how the online event is going to be for Gen Con, but both the in real life Otakon event and in real life upcoming Gen Con event are best of 1 pre-sideboard matches. Let's see what other decks we're forgetting about. Let's take a look at this real quick. Actually, let's take a look at Eric Goodwin's 16th place Golden Frieza, because Golden Frieza is another powerful deck in my opinion that can also go the distance. So let's take a quick glance at his set 1 Golden Frieza. All right, let's see if we can get this bad boy turned sideways. So Eric, what do you got going on over here? Okay, you have 1 drop. That's to play skillless. I don't know what skillless cards you have, but let's see. The draw engine is pretty standard. The 4 Friezas called, the 8 draw targets. You have the 3 Krillin super combos, followed up by the Gohan Piccolo Secret, 3 repos. I'm thinking, by looking at it, in the 1/2 match that I did see him play, he is trying to bring it into the longer game, where he's trying to sit on the 5 drop and just try to wear you down from there, versus the traditional route where it used to be. It was made by my boy Legends, boy and teammate Legends, the blue yellow route, where he sat there on the Trunks and just hit you with infinite hits. Deck is still really solid. I'm guessing that there comes a time and point where he will have the 5-drop in play, as well as the Gohan for a -3, swinging 3 times, as well as being backed up by a cooler, Swift Retaliation cooler to seal the deal on the game, as well as being able to drop the Piccolo Secret Rare, as well as Bergamo to go ahead and type it down. Really, really solid list. That's the last one I really wanted to get into. That's the only other one that was unique in the top cut that we don't really see. Everything else, like I said, 16 plates was the Golden Frieza. We seen Red Bulma last week. So if you want to see that list, go ahead and check it out on the first place winners list. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So, like I said, stay tuned. My list will be up pretty soon. Other than that, that's it, man. Thanks for joining. See you next time.